So, Austin Film Festival, shot in Austin. You've been living here in Austin. Tell me about, I know this is based on your dad. What made you want to tell this story? What made you need to get this out?
Well, I'm primarily an actor first, and but I had been wanting to get into filmmaking for a while. And this story obviously is very personal, so it was the closest to my heart and the thing I knew the most about. And people, always tell you, write what you know. But I also had this very strong imagery from the day that my dad passed away that I kind of couldn't shake, of sitting on the stairs and seeing everyone in my house below through muffled sound and blurred vision. And that kind of sensory, when you have a memory and it stays with you, feeling-wise, I couldn't shake that for the past 13 years. So I felt like it was a powerful image, and that's kind of what I based the whole story around, was the fact that that was my one memory, and the fact that I blocked everything else out was really interesting to me. So that was part of it, and then the other part was just, wanting to share one way of grieving, because I obviously had a lot of family members and friends who were grieving also, and I felt like my way of grieving was pretty different, even as I grew up, and I just kind of wanted to put that out there, that there's not one clear way, we all do it in our own ways. So.
And yet, I feel like baked goods has been a grieving thing forever.
Yeah.
I almost could feel the aroma too. I loved when the grandmother character comes over and talks about the upside down pineapple.
Yeah, the pineapple upside down cake. Yeah, just so Southern.
Did that? I mean, was that?
That really happened, yeah, because basically my dad passed away on a Sunday when I was 15, and they announced it at our church, and everybody came over after church. And, church ladies and family members, they bring casseroles, and which is nice, especially when you're going through something, if you're sick or you have a lost loved one, everybody will bring food so you don't have to think about it. But to me at 15, I was like, I don't want to eat right now. This is the last thing that I want. So, but yeah, I think it's a good imagery for well wishes or well-meaning sympathies, is just tons of food everywhere.
You talked about that blurred vision, and I love the moment when you do sit down. We go into basically your point of view, and we see that. The moment you break out of it is your little sister running past you. Was that a consistent moment as well, that family kind of pulls you back out of it?
Yeah, I think so. Even beyond the actual day of it happening, I was a very internal processor as a young person. I like to spend a lot of alone time, and so it definitely took my family and even my friends sometimes to bring me back into the real world, and have conversations, which is healthy and good. Yeah, it's just funny in the film because Ashley Ray, who played Chrissy, she's very spunky, and it was just perfect the way she did it. And that was my sister too, was a little more put together, But yeah, it was kind of a mix of both. I remember very little from that day, but I do remember being around a lot of family in the days to come, and having conversations, but me never being the instigator of those conversations. Yeah.
Forced upon you.
Yeah, forced upon me, but that sounds negative, but it, what do you do? You're going to spend time with family, when that happens, and you need that. But for some reason that time when he passed away, it felt too soon. It felt like there were too many visitors, too many people too soon. And they are all good family friends and family. And of course, I didn't, want them to leave, because they were grieving also. But yeah.
Well, let's talk about casting. And let's start with Chloe and finding you, basically.
Yeah, it's weird.
What was that process like? Was it when you had that aha moment of, okay, it's Chloe? It must have been just relieving that
super
you
relieving.
Found her.
Yeah, well, I wasn't trying, obviously this role is based off my life, but I wasn't trying to cast someone that was me, that's impossible and kind of narcissistic, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted someone who could bring their own touch to the role, and I wanted someone who looked young, and maybe they were young and just had a deep emotional maturity, or they were older, able to play younger. And we did like 2 days of auditions. My producer Melina and I saw a lot of like teenagers, actually, some really fantastic young actors in this town. Ben was one of those actors that we cast out of the original auditions. And then my friend Shayla, who was helping me with casting one day, she's also an actor and does casting, and she was like, I think this girl I worked with would be perfect for this. I'm gonna call her, and Shayla put her on tape for me. And basically, like, the original script was a lot of inner monologue, and so I cut that together as like an actual monologue for the auditions. And Chloe did the monologue, and then she just improvised as if she was like kind of giving a eulogy or telling a friend about her father or about her lost loved one. It was very intimate. She was so captivating on camera, like crying, but like not over the top at all, which I really wanted somebody who was subtle but had this kind of deep emotion that drew you in. Especially for the end of the film, like that quick change was really important to me. And she nailed it. And I remember I was watching it on my laptop, and like within 30 seconds I was like weeping. I was like, I found her. And we were in the middle of our Kickstarter when we were casting, and I had already made an announcement of like, we're gonna announce it on Sunday. And like it was Saturday night when I watched that audition. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is our girl. Okay, cool. But yeah, she's great. And Chloe's actually, she was 20 when we shot the film.
Really?
Yeah, she's 21 now. Yeah, and she played 15, and it's awesome. Yeah, it was perfect.
Let's talk about casting Heather. And then, since you said that there was so much monologue changes, was when you started taking that out, because there's not that in the short, did the mom role take over? Because there are those moments of just Heather and other family members.
Yeah. No, the mom role and the grandmother role, they were always there. There was also a like grandfather kind of dialogue, but I took that out because I just felt like the matriarchs were kind of where I wanted to focus, because that was, what I experienced, and also really just cool to have like mostly women talking. And also like I cast my own grandfather in the film.
He's the one with the little boy?
Yeah, that's my real grandpa. My grandma's in the film too as an extra, but my grandpa's not an actor, so I was like, you can just sit there. And with Heather, I've known Heather for a long time, and I think she's fantastic. She's a really great like staple in this community, and I've always wanted to work with her. And I approached her with the script before I cast Chloe, or before we had even started auditioning for Mishelle. And I gave her the script. I was like, really love for you to play the mom. And she wrote me back and said, this is beautiful. I'd love to do it, but you've got to find your Mishelle first, because it's going to be way harder to find a young girl who can pull off this role. And if we happen to work, then great. And I took her advice. I did not think about, like, while I was casting Mishelle, I didn't think about like who would play her mom. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want it to be Heather. And then we found Chloe, and they look like they can be mother and daughter. So it worked out totally. Sorry, what was your other question about the monologue stuff?
Well, I mean, when you took that out, like, what was it a longer short?
It was like maybe 14 pages. Whenever I first had it, it was a lot of voiceover, and I think as a first-time filmmaker, that was like kind of a way to get my like vision out on the page. Hadn't done a lot of writing before this either, and obviously an internal monologue was what was happening to me that day. You say that day a lot when you make a film called That Day. An internal monologue was happening to me, and I was like, how am I going to convey these like crazy, combative, intense emotions without saying it? And I workshopped the script a lot with a lot of awesome women and other filmmakers in town, and they were like, you don't need this stuff, like you're gonna see it in her face. And I'm so glad that I took it out, because I think it's a lot more powerful, and it's like the understatedness of it is what draws you in, I think. And
you allow Chloe to kind of I love just her introspective moments. I think that's totally some of the strongest moments of the film.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask then, the introduction of Ben, was that something out of reality?
Yeah, that actually really happened. I actually still have the note that he wrote me when I was in high school. I pulled it out the other day. Ben is a real person. I actually named him after the character, so original. He lives in New York now, and it's funny because through this process we've kind of reconnected, and I was able to thank him for like this impactful thing that he did that he didn't really know was so impactful. But yeah, he brought over a note. I'm pretty sure he gave it to my sister. Like somehow it got to me, in my house, but I never saw him. He just dropped it off and left. It was a really sweet note, and it really did say, like, if you need to get out of the house, if you need to take a walk, like, you know where I am. And that simple gesture meant so much to me, almost more than, all of the hugs and family members that were at the house, because it was just, it was unintrusive and, welcoming and kind, but not overpowering. That's what I wanted, yeah.
How cathartic has not only the filmmaking process been for you, but now being able to showcase it to other people and hearing responses?
Well, it's been, making it was cathartic, and actually I think writing it was the most cathartic thing. Once I was in like production mode, I really just looked at it as like a narrative piece and not so much as my story. Just like I knew the emotions behind it, but I think any director would know the emotions behind what they're directing. So I just looked at it as like, this is a film that I'm making, not as my story. And then sharing with people has been really nice because other people have connected with it too, or been able to kind of process some grief in their in their own life through watching it. And then sharing it at festivals, it's just been great as a filmmaker because it's your work that you made, and the cathartic element of it was mostly from the writing. After that, it's my baby that's my film, less my baby that's my life story. Yeah.
Well, I've got to ask then, being able to showcase it here at home, like what does that mean for you to be at AFF and not somewhere random?
It's really cool. Like we played in Berlin and then we played in Holly Shorts, and both of those were awesome. And I had a couple of friends in Hollywood come, but we have a screening Saturday, and I feel like a lot of people that worked on the film, my good friends, are going to be there. I have a wide community in this town that I respect and love, and the support from them has been really nice too. Even from Harrison, like at AFF, he's been really supportive also. So yeah, it's going to be really special to share that. Everybody's really proud of it that worked on it. It really felt like a family effort. I'm really pleased that we can play here. This is our Texas premiere. So, we submitted to like Dallas and stuff, but I'm really glad that it was like here where we made it, It's really nice.
Well, I've got to ask then, what's next? What are you looking to set up, following this?
Well, we're playing at the La Femme International Film Festival in LA next week after we play here. And then, we're kind of still in the middle of our festival year with this film. I'm working on, I've shot a documentary this summer that I'm working on, and I'm doing another short hopefully in the spring. Just continuing to make films here. I do a lot of comedy. You wouldn't know by this project, but I do a lot of comedy in my acting life, so I'm looking to make a comedy next because I'm spending a year with a really sad piece. It's been a little like, okay, it's time for something light. Yeah.